The old house groaned, wind rattled the windows, the night was eerily quiet save for the occasional creak of the ancient wooden structure. Shadows danced on the walls, cast by the moonlight filtering through the tattered curtains. Michael lay in bed, unable to sleep. His mind raced with thoughts he couldn't quiet. The silence of the house seemed to amplify every small noise, making it impossible for him to find peace. He tossed and turned, the bed creaking under him. Each movement seemed to echo through the room, a constant reminder of his restlessness. He tried to find a comfortable position, but it was no use. Suddenly the bed shifted, tilting sharply. He heard a crack. It was a sound that sent a jolt of adrenaline through his body, making his heart race even faster. Cautiously, Michael got out of bed. The floor felt cold beneath his feet as he moved slowly, trying not to make any more noise. He didn't want to wake anyone else in the house. He knelt down, running his hand over the worn floorboards. They were old and splintered, a testament to the age of the house. He could feel the unevenness beneath his fingers. One felt loose, lower than the others. It was subtle, but noticeable. He pressed down on it gently, feeling it give way slightly under his touch. He pried at it, his heart pounding. The wood resisted at first, but then it began to lift. He could feel his pulse in his ears, a steady thump that matched the rhythm of his anxious breaths. The board snapped, revealing a gaping hole beneath. It was dark and foreboding, a void that seemed to swallow the light around it. He stared into the darkness, trying to make out any details. A musty smell wafted up. Michael shivered. It was a damp, earthy scent, like something that had been hidden away for years. It filled his nostrils, making him recoil slightly. He grabbed a flashlight from his nightstand and shone it into the darkness. The beam cut through the blackness, revealing more of the hidden space below. The beam revealed a set of rickety wooden stairs leading down into the abyss. Curiosity battled fear. He wondered what could be down there, hidden away for so long. He had to know what lay below. The unknown called to him, a mystery that needed to be solved. With a deep breath, he prepared to descend into the darkness, not knowing what he might find. Taking a deep breath, Michael started down the stairs. Each step creaked ominously, echoing in the silence. The air grew colder, damper. The flashlight beam danced on the rough-hewn walls, creating grotesque shadows. The stairs seemed to go on forever. Michael lost track of time, his mind filled with strange visions conjured by the oppressive darkness. Was he dreaming? This couldn't be real. Finally, the steps ended. Michael found himself in a narrow passageway. The air hung heavy and still. The smell of damp earth filled his lungs. He shone his flashlight down the tunnel. It stretched out before him, disappearing into the black void. Michael hesitated. What had he gotten himself into? He should turn back. But an unseen force drew him forward. He took a step, then another, his shoes kicking up dust from the earthen floor. The tunnel was a twisting, turning labyrinth. The walls were rough and damp, the ceiling so low he had to stoop. He passed dark alcoves, their contents hidden in shadow. He noticed strange symbols etched into the walls. Symbols he didn't recognize. They seemed ancient, imbued with a sense of foreboding. A cold dread crept into his heart. He was in over his head. Just as Michael felt like he could take no more, he saw it, a faint glimmer of light in the distance. Hope surged through him. The darkness had been overwhelming, pressing in on him from all sides, and the sight of that tiny light was like a lifeline. It was as if the universe had thrown him a rope, a way out of the suffocating blackness that had surrounded him for what felt like an eternity. He quickened his pace, his heart pounding with anticipation. Each step echoed loudly in the confined space, the sound bouncing off the walls and amplifying his sense of urgency. The tunnel seemed to stretch on forever, but the light was growing brighter, pulling him forward like a magnet. He could feel the air changing, becoming less oppressive, and he knew he was getting closer to whatever lay ahead. As he got closer, the light grew stronger, revealing a larger chamber ahead. The walls of the tunnel began to widen, and the ceiling lifted, giving him more space to move. The glimmer of light was no longer just a distant hope, it was a tangible reality, illuminating the path before him. He could see the outline of the chamber, its entrance glowing with a warm, inviting light. He emerged from the tunnel, blinking in the sudden brightness. The transition from darkness to light was almost blinding, and he had to shield his eyes with his hand. As his vision adjusted, he took in the sight before him. The chamber was unlike anything he had ever seen, a stark contrast to the oppressive tunnel he had just left behind. The chamber was circular, with a high vaulted ceiling. The architecture was ancient, yet remarkably well preserved, with intricate carvings adorning the walls and ceiling. It felt like stepping into a different world, a place where time had stood still. The air was cool and filled with the faint scent of old parchment and stone. A single lantern hung from a hook, casting flickering shadows on the walls. The light from the lantern danced and played, creating an almost magical atmosphere. It was the only source of illumination in the room, but it was enough to reveal the chamber's hidden treasures. Bookshelves lined the walls, crammed with old, leather-bound books. Each book seemed to hold a story, a piece of history waiting to be discovered. The shelves were dusty, indicating that no one had been here for a very long time. It was a treasure trove of knowledge hidden away from the world. A heavy wooden table sat in the centre of the room, covered in papers and strange artifacts. The table was cluttered with maps, scrolls, and objects that looked like they belonged in a museum. Each item seemed to tell a story of its own, hinting at the secrets this chamber held. This was no ordinary tunnel. It was a gateway to a hidden world, a place that had been lost to time. The tunnel had been a test, a journey through darkness to reach the light. And now, standing in this ancient chamber, Michael felt a sense of accomplishment and wonder. It was a secret room, hidden for centuries. The chamber held the promise of untold stories and forgotten knowledge. Michael knew that he had stumbled upon something extraordinary, a discovery that could change everything. The journey through the darkness had been worth it, for he had found a glimmer in the distance that led to a world of light and wonder. Michael cautiously approached the table. His fingers traced the dusty surface, coming to rest on a leather-bound journal. He opened it, his heart racing. The pages were filled with faded ink, the handwriting spidery and elegant. He began to read, his eyes widening with each passing word. The journal belonged to his great-great-grandfather, a man he'd only heard whispered stories about, a man who had disappeared without a trace. The journal told of dark secrets, of forbidden knowledge, of a hidden world beneath the surface. It spoke of a malevolent entity, trapped but not destroyed, an entity that whispered from the shadows, promising power in exchange for... A noise from behind made Michael spin around. He froze, his blood turning to ice. The wall opposite him seemed to ripple and shift. A face emerged from the stone, its features twisted in a silent scream. It was the face of his great-great-grandfather, but contorted, grotesque. Its eyes glowed with an unnatural light burning into Michael's soul. A voice, raspy and ancient, echoed through the chamber. "You should not have come here," it hissed, the sound like nails on a chalkboard. "This place is mine, these secrets are mine, and now you shall join me." Terror lent Michael speed. He scrambled back, knocking over the table and sending papers flying. He had to get out, escape the chilling presence that emanated from the face in the wall. As he stumbled towards the tunnel, he noticed something he hadn't seen before, a small wooden door, almost invisible against the stone wall. He lunged for it, his fingers closing around a cold metal handle. He yanked the door open and stumbled through, slamming it shut behind him. He found himself in another narrow passage, but this one sloped upwards. A faint light glimmered at the end. Michael didn't hesitate. He ran, his lungs burning, his legs screaming for rest. The passage twisted and turned, but he didn't slow down. He had to get away from the face, the voice, the chilling presence that haunted the chamber below. Finally, he burst out into the cool night air, gasping for breath. He was in the woods behind his house, the familiar trees swaying gently in the breeze. He had escaped. He never went back to the house. The memory of that night, of the face in the wall and the chilling voice, haunted his dreams. He knew the truth about his great-great-grandfather's disappearance, a truth too terrible to share. Years passed, but Michael could never shake the feeling that he was being watched. Every creak of the floorboards, every whisper of the wind seemed to carry with it a sinister presence. It was as if the shadows themselves were alive, breathing down his neck, reminding him of the past he could never escape. The tunnel, the face, the voice, they were always there, lurking in the shadows of his mind. The memories of that fateful night haunted him, replaying in his dreams and waking moments alike. He could still hear the echo of footsteps, the chilling laughter that seemed to come from nowhere and everywhere at once. He knew the entity was still trapped, imprisoned within the earth beneath his old home. But for how long? The trapdoor in the basement was a constant reminder of the evil that lay below. He often found himself standing over it, staring into the abyss, wondering if today would be the day it broke free. The journal had warned that the entity grew stronger, its power seeping out into the world. Each page was filled with cryptic symbols and dire predictions, a testament to the dark knowledge it contained. Michael had spent countless nights poring over its contents, trying to decipher its secrets and find a way to stop the inevitable. One day he knew it would return. The signs were all there, the unnatural cold, the strange occurrences, the feeling of being watched. Midnight was the hour of its greatest strength, and Michael could feel the tension in the air as the clock struck 12 each night. And he, Michael, would be ready. He had prepared for this moment, training his mind and body to face the darkness. The flashlight in his hand was more than just a tool. It was a symbol of his resolve, a beacon of hope in the encroaching gloom. He would be the guardian, the protector against the darkness that lurked below. Armed with knowledge and determination, he stood vigilant, ready to confront whatever horrors emerged from the depths. The weight of his responsibility was heavy, but he bore it with unwavering strength. The tunnel had changed him, marked him forever. It was a place of nightmares, a labyrinth of fear that had left its indelible mark on his soul. Every step he took within its confines was a reminder of the battles he had fought and the ones yet to come. He carried the burden of its secret, a chilling reminder of the horrors that lay hidden beneath the surface. The old key in his possession was a symbol of his duty, a link to the past and a promise to the future. Michael